now, across the sports world, we are seeing players in every league taking action on the Black Lives Matter movement. You yourself have decided to take action at CSU. Why is it important for you to speak up?
I feel like it's important for me because, especially in volleyball, it's not a predominantly Black sport, like such as basketball and stuff like, or track. And so a lot of young Black females don't have a person to look up to in the volleyball world. And I'm just so passionate about it. And I grew up learning about it and being educated about it. And so I feel like being a CSU athlete in this community of Fort Collins, like, I'm looked at as a celebrity as a volleyball player. And so I might as well use my voice in the best way that I can.
Were you scared to step up and use your voice?
In a sense, yes, but a big reason why I chose to come to CSU to play volleyball is because I was always a big voice, even like in high school and stuff. And so a big reason why I came here is because I had meetings with Tom before I came here, and he was like, you absolutely can use your voice here. They don't try to silence me on Twitter. Like, they don't tell me what to post or what I can and can't wear or post or have different masks and stuff like that. And so that was the biggest thing for me coming here, is I knew that I would be able to excel in that realm with using my platform.
Okay, so you have never been afraid to use your voice at all?
No, not at all.
Okay, so the main reason why we're having this conversation today is because of what happened to George Floyd. When you first heard about his death, what was your first initial reaction?
It's sad to say, but I was kind of numb. In these situations, and when you're educated about this thing, it's not just a George Floyd or like a Trayvon Martin. It's the names that a lot of people don't hear about. So it's the Breonna Taylors, it's the Tamir Rices, it's the Mike Browns, that the names that don't turn into hashtags. And there's so many names that don't make it to social media, don't get the news, get the attention that George Floyd got. And so you just become numb to it when you hear all those names. And that was my first initial reaction, was numbness, because it happens so much. And literally 2 weeks before George Floyd was Ahmaud Arbery. And it was just a cycle, and it's just a really sickening cycle. And so that was my first initial reaction to it. It was just numbness.
Okay, so where were you when that whole news broke out?
I was in Houston, and he's from Houston, and I actually know people that went to high school with him.
Oh, so Houston, that hit big home for you, in your hometown, right?
Yeah, it was huge. His brother actually came to Houston for one of the protests, and there were 60,000 plus people there in downtown Houston, and that was really, really, really eye-opening for me. I've always been a voice, but I've never actually engaged in a protest before that. And well, I did hear when the whole blackface incident happened, but that was nowhere near the aspect of what George Floyd was. And so it was just, I left, and as soon as I got in the car, it was just tears. It was just so emotional. It was just so emotional.
So did you attend all the protests that was going on in Houston before you went to Colorado?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Let's go into more of your platform. Were you afraid to use your voice because there wasn't other athletes stepping up as the way you have been doing in the past few weeks?
Yeah, so I was really scared, and I was more so scared of what CSU as a whole would do, because with George Floyd, you saw so many sports organizations, many colleges in the NCAA, they all started putting out statements and putting out we stand with Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. And as soon as I saw that, I called Tom. I actually called my head coach, Tom, and I was like, what are we doing? The CSU volleyball needs to do something, because even though I know that y'all stand with me and I know that y'all really want this to end, other people don't. And I might feel comfortable, but they have thousands of more followers than I do on Instagram and social media. And as a whole, they needed to see that. And so I called Tom and I was like, what are we doing? We need to put out something. We need to have talks with within our team. We need to have talks within the CSU athletic program. And this needs to be a prevalent issue within the CSU athletic community. And we put out a statement, we put out a video. We've had multiple team conversations and team meetings about it, and the CSU volleyball coaching staff has just responded greatly to what I've asked them to do, and like me using my platform.
Okay, so what have the outcomes came out of, like, with your team coming out to supporting you?
It's great actually, and that is always something that you're scared of, and I've always been just uneasy about it because this is a very sensitive and very controversial topic, and a lot of people don't support this movement. And so it was, how do I let them know that, like, this isn't a political statement? This isn't about politics. This isn't about who you support as your president. This is about life. And this is about Black people becoming equal. And when we got past the barrier of, well, all lives matter, like Black lives aren't the only people that matter, or I'm a Republican, it was I'm a person. That was a blanket statement. I'm a person and everybody should have equality. And once we got past that, it was the response from my teammates. They came to the protest here in Fort Collins. We made posters, and they have just responded greatly. The outcomes, we have tough conversations, even like that aren't mandated by our coaches, just like I'm helping my teammates register like absentee ballots, like just stuff like that. And they look at me as a leader in that aspect, and I'm just so thankful that I can be that for them.
That is so wonderful to hear. And speaking of the protests that happened in Fort Collins, in your opinion, should we have more protests in Fort Collins?
That's hard. I think a lot of people are scared to go out and protest. And a lot of people, that's just not their forte. And so I think, yes, especially in the climate that the country is in, I think, yes, that is the best way to make your voices heard, but also signing petitions, registering to vote, civic engagement, like that is even bigger than protesting. And that's honestly all that we're asking for.
Okay, so since you're an athlete, what do you think of the idea of, like, since there's no sports going on, do you think like all the athletes should come together and come up with like some protest and be like, you know what, hey guys, we should do this since we're not even doing anything in sports. Let's show like we matter just more than just a sport. We're not just entertainment.
Yes, I definitely do. And that has been on my mind for such a long time. Just I see these like Alabamas and these A&Ms and these big schools, like their whole athletic program like shows out. And it's kind of sad to say, but I don't think we would ever get that at CSU. And I don't I wish and I hope that we could, and would like to I would like to do that, but I don't think that it would ever happen.
How can we get there?
I think more conversations. I think more mandatory conversations, because SAC holds these town halls and SAC holds these questionnaires and panels. Like we have one on Monday about voting, and I'm on the panel, but you have to register, and that a lot of people don't care. And a lot of people, I'm not really into politics and I'm not really into this and that. And it's not even about that. It's so much more than that. And so I think sitting down as a whole, and it makes it hard with COVID because we can't have that many people in one room, and Zoom is just very not personal, but mandatory conversations and mandatory town halls instead of just, hey, sign up if you want to.
I totally agree with you. So do you have anything else you would like to say?
I'm just very thankful that I'm looked at as a leader in this community, as somebody that uses my voice, and I just want to continue to do that.
Well, thank you so much for agreeing with this time. I love listening to what you had to say.
Thank you so much for having me.